What's up, guys? We have Devil's Advocate, episode 18.
18.
Yeah,
Hey yo, we're at 18.
a few more episodes be 20. I'm I'm I am happy for the journey. Right, it's been a great journey. It's been a long journey. Right, it's a lot of ups and downs. But I don't care. Right, I'm doing this for the fun of it. I love talking. I love shooting shit with my friend. I just love watching these videos, reacting to it, you know, getting our views and thoughts out. So it's been fun. So if you watched our last episode, which please do, right? We were reacting to a divorce lawyer, right? He said some amazing shit, right? Which very interesting. Please check that out. So this will be the pretty much part two to that episode. So let's get started.
And I shouldn't be, because a prenup for a couple of $1,000s will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars potentially in legal fees, if not more. So there are clients I have that have spent over $1 million just in their legal fees, that if they had spent $2,000 on a prenup, you would none of that. They'd still have that money in their pocket. And that's incredible to me. Like, I have two sons who are adults, that they are absolutely going to have prenups. Like, they have to have prenups. They'd be fools to not have prenups. It's like jumping out of a plane with no parachute. Why would you do that? It's stupid. Prenups are enforceable. They make sense. I actually think there's something very romantic about prenups, because they're forcing you to have a conversation about this relationship. I genuinely believe that we are
I wish women would think that's romantic. No woman thinks that's romantic.
Like, hey yo, like I want to hear like his reasoning on that. Like I'm gonna try to spin it that way if I ever have to. Like, actually, baby, it's because I love
you. Yeah.
Care of our health just after we got sick, right? Like when you wake up and you have a toothache, all you can think about is the fact your tooth hurts. And then your toothache goes away. And for like a week,
you take care of your teeth.
You go, oh my God, at least I don't have a toothache, But then a month goes by and you don't wake up and go, oh, at least I don't have a toothache. It's the furthest thing from your mind. But theoretically, you could wake up today and go, I don't have a toothache. I don't have a backache. I don't have a head cold. Like, it's a great day.
What does a typical prenup look like?
The easiest prenup in the world. Easiest. Yours, mine, ours. That's it. Yours, mine, ours. If it's in your name, it's yours. If it's in mine.
I wonder, like, let's a hypothetical question, right? If you get married, how are you thinking about you setting up your money and bank account situation?
I'm not married, so I haven't thought much about it.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not married, and I've thought about it too. I've thought about it.
I mean, I imagine we'd have a joint account.
Mm-hmm.
Probably also our own account.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's what I was planning, right? I was planning like a joint account, because for me, it's like I've said it where I still want my woman to work. I'm a provider, but you'd be stupid to let your woman get bored, right? Mm-hmm. Boredom is what kills relationships with women, especially with women. So I want her to work, but it's not like she's forced to work, right? So she doesn't have that restriction where, I have to work or I can't pay bills, which we were talking about before the show. Yeah. Is that pressure is what kills people. So that's why I'm saying, like, I want her to work just to make some extra income, right? To just do something, right?
Yeah.
So I want her to like have a joint account and our own individual accounts. So that's how I see it, and how I want it to be. But here's the caveat, right? Well, I kind of want to do this, and I want to, and I'm gonna definitely say this into my relationship, is that I want to control the finances. Right? So you make the money, you're gonna give it to me, and I'm gonna split it out like that. That's where I want to be. Right?
Okay, so even if she has her own account, she's giving you all her money or part of her money?
even if she has her own account, I'm gonna control how it's split out, right? So I will put it into her account. Or hell, okay, let's say hypothetical, she has her own account and then she has direct deposit, right, from her job, something like that. I will have information of her account, so I will deposit it. I will deposit some of it into um, the joint account, and I will keep track of her account as well. That's what I'm thinking. That's my caveat. People may think that's like, I don't know, controlling, but I, let's say this, right? Okay, it may sound bad. Women have the highest debt in the nation, right? In the U.S., women control the debt. Women have the highest amount of credit card debt, and I've been with women that they are spenders, and they spend money like it's water,
Yeah.
right? How and and where I work, right?
Yeah.
I've had women, and again, I'm the one special. Like I've done nails. I have women literally saying like, I have no money, but I need to get my nails done. So she give me $100 for her nails. Bitch, what? Did you not just say you have no money? Right?
Like go buy food, pay a
No,
bill.
literally, I had a customer saying to me like, oh, I haven't eaten anything, but here's $50 for my nails. I said, no, I don't want to. I literally said to her, and this is not smart business. I said, no, I'm not gonna take it. Go buy yourself food. I said, no, I gotta get my nails done. I gotta get my nails done. Oh, okay, I have a job interview soon. I gotta get my nails done. Your job won't care about your effing nails,
Yeah.
right? But no, I just gotta get done. I just gotta get done. It's like, fine, I'll take it, whatever. But it's like, that's what I'm saying, right? It's like I've seen it, and I'm not no saint, right? I do spend my money, but I can tell you this: I've controlled my spending, and I've known that they're you know I understand it, right?
Mhm.
So I know that okay, I need to set. And there's points where I've not spent nothing because I've seen that I can't go overboard.
Yeah.
Sometimes women they just don't hold themselves back, right? They're just going overboard.
I've had
So
my moments too, where it's like, all right, listen, I'm gonna spend the money on the thing, and and then I'll eat ramen noodles for 2 weeks. I don't care, like.
but that's the thing with women, right? Is that they
Uh,
spend their money and they still expect, oh, I'm not eating ramen noodles. I'm gonna go out. It's like I still want to live. I still want to eat. I want to go to Whole Foods. I'm like, bitch, you just like spent all this money. Now you want to go to Whole Foods? No way. You should go to Dollar Tree. You should be shopping at Dollar Tree.
yeah.
But that's the thing where. So that's why I'm like, really. I mean, again, this is not me being like, I guess it's me being kind of controlling, but I believe it's smarter to have one stream of like consciousness, right? Where the one person controlling it instead of multiple people controlling it, then you don't know what's going on, right? I feel like you may not know where money's going. And women, I think women budget well, right? And my sister is amazing at budgeting, but
Okay.
and again, I'm saying that it's dependent on the women I'm gonna get with, but just in case, if it's not, I still want to control it. It's just how I am, right? And it's not necessarily me controlling, like, oh, you can't spend this. No, it's like I'm gonna see where it's going, right? So I know that okay, she spent $100 on a bag, that's fine. Then next week she spent another $100 on another bag, $200 on clothes. I was like, okay, now I'm seeing that this is you gotta see patterns, right? You gotta see things that can be a problem.
Okay.
And I've seen it where women can hide shit, right? Women can hide expenses or ignore expenses.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. And I just think like, if you want to be a leader, well, which I kind of want to be a leader in a relationship. So I'm going to take charge. This is plain and simple. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Boom.
Yeah.
No, but
It's mine.
like in a divorce, everything, all the assets are split 50-50.
Well, no, what you say in a prenuptial agreement is if it's an asset or a liability, If it's in my name, it's mine. If it's in your name, it's yours. If it's in our joint names, we'll divide it 50-50. That's it. Yours, mine, ours. And then you have to have ongoing conversations throughout the marriage about, hey, I got this bonus at work. Do I put it in my account? Do I put it in the joint
If
account?
the husband owns a house that's worth, whatever, $2 million, and he marries a woman, the house is his still?
Well, they have to have a conversation.
That's
Do I owe you a house?
an awkward conversation.
Okay. You know what's a more awkward conversation? A conversation 10 years later with a lawyer about the fact that you have to give half of this house away to someone. Isn't it better to have that conversation when you still why would you learn how to fight in a fight?
But won't that undermine the love that each person feels?
Why? You're going to die. Does that undermine your life? Or does it make you conscious of the fact that this is finite and that you should be out there? I think having a conversation with your partner about, look, I love you. You love me. We want to do this thing together. But the numbers are against us and the world is antagonistic to it. And I hope we'll be together forever. But if we split up, what do we owe each other? What do you expect from me? Because I have to tell you something. I'm a fair person. If you say to me, Jim, if I'm not going to work as hard because you make a good living. So if we split up, I'm going to help for a couple of years because I'm not going to pay attention to my career. Hey, is that unreasonable? That's totally reasonable. If I say, hey, listen, I have this house and I bought it, but I'm buying it with money that I made really before we were together. So if we split up, I don't really think you deserve half of it. I think that if we bought things for it together, that, okay, those things you can half of, but the house itself, that's money I had before I met you. And why can't you have that conversation? Why not? You buy a house, you do a HUD-1, a lead paint disclosure, you got to sign all these things that this is how much the interest is going to be, and this is what, you get married and you get a fucking pamphlet. You don't get anything. You just did the most legally significant thing you're ever going to do other than die. And no one has explained any of it to you. People come into my office and they go, well, my retirement account, that's in my name. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's in your name. Okay, was it acquired during the marriage? Okay, she's got half of it. Well, I have this bank account, but it's in my sole name. It's money that I inherited from my mom. I'm like, okay, it's in your name. Yeah, but you inherited that money during the marriage. Yeah, and did you put money that you earned during the marriage in that account also? Yeah, okay, that's commingled and transmuted. That's now marital property.
Wow.
So they don't know that. Why? Because no one tells them that when they're getting married. You spend more time talking about the cake than you do talking about the fact that you just opted out of the title system. That's gigantic. You can't legally change the beneficiary of your life insurance, even to your children if you're married, without your spouse signing a consent to that. No one tells you that when you get married. Elvis can marry you for $20 at a drive-through cathedral. And it's a legal status, a massive legal. You buy your spouse a Rolex, you bought yourself one half of a Rolex. You buy someone a birthday present you're married to, you bought yourself one half of that birthday present. People don't know that. They learn that for the first time in my office or in a courtroom. That's insane. What other thing in the world, like anything else, any other contract, you would say, well, wait a minute, no one explained that to me. No one explained that to me. When I leased this car, no one explained that there's wear and tear. It doesn't say it anywhere in the contract, right? Okay, marriage contract doesn't say that. It doesn't say, oh, and by the way, you're opting out of the title system and your retirement assets and all these other things. And if there's any debts and you could have enhanced earning capacity or celebrity goodwill that has to be valued by forensic accountants that'll cost you $100,000. No contract that says that. It just says, yep, we're getting married. 2 witnesses, we're good. What other contract in the United States or anywhere has that lack of disclosure and is that binding? None. Zero. None. So what, a prenup? Yes, that's an awkward conversation, I guess. I don't know that it has to be. And I have to tell you, the more awkward of a conversation it is, the more you should think twice about getting married. Because if you can't have a conversation with this person about the possibility that someday one or both of you might hurt each other. How many people, while they're still happy and in love, say something like, babe, I love you, but we're going to disagree about something at some point. And when we do, how do you like to fight? Like, do you need a minute? Like, do you need like to be alone for a minute so you can kind of calm down? Or are you the like, hey, we got to figure this out. We can't go to bed angry. Like, because let's talk about that now while we're not in a fight. Like, let's talk about it now while we still get along and we're happy and we're trying to figure out how to navigate each other. It's hard enough to navigate yourself. I want to navigate another human being. Why don't we have that conversation now? But no, we don't. We learn on the job. We learn how to fight in a fight, which is insane. You know, but again, why? Well, because it's awkward. It'd be awkward to have that conversation. More awkward than getting in a fight where you don't know the rules of engagement, where you don't know how your partner does better or would feel better. Like, and you're not going to ask them that in the heat of battle, you know? So why wouldn't you have that awkward conversation while you have this abundance of affection for each other? I mean, when I negotiate prenups, it's the easiest thing in the world in a sense, because these two people really like each other. You know, they're about to get married. So they're clearly not trying to kill each other. At that point, they clearly like each other. So you just say, hey, listen, go home, talk to your fiance about X, Y, and Z, and see what they think. And tell them what your concern is. And very often people will come back and say to me, I mean, I have to tell you, I've been doing this now, over 20 years. I do a lot of prenups. I do maybe.
I want to unpack some of the stuff he's just said. It's very profound. I think things he just said is very profound. And now I'm actually gonna implement what he just said about how you want to go about fights. I've never thought about that.
That was pretty deep.
I think that is very deep, because like it is true. I know very few relationships that you do not fight in. It's like it's weird, right? It's weird that you're in love with this person and you're fighting with the person, but
it happens.
What can I say? I've been in so many relationships that shit happens. But like, to talk about it beforehand it's amazing, where maybe you could navigate those fights better if you knew how to navigate them, where it's not such a battle, right? Such a terrible battle. And I think that's amazing. And the things he's saying about prenups is, it just, because like, I want you to reiterate the things you said before about prenup, because you said to yourself that you weren't really sure if you yourself would do prenups. But I was like, I want to see that. We will probably rehash this at the end if he has changed your mind about it. Because for me, the things he's saying is actually just kind of enforcing it more for me.
Yeah.
Again, I'm making nothing, right? But if my life goes how I'm hoping it will go, and I'm working for it, I'm working towards it, right? I'm working towards being a man of better standing, right? I don't know, be the best version of myself, right? That's what I hope all men would do, right? So maybe I'll get into a better financial state. So if at that time, and I'm at a financial state that I think that it's pretty decent, I think I'm all for a prenup. Because at my state right now, if I get married tomorrow, me spending a couple grand on a prenup is ridiculous. I don't have that money to spend that, right?
Right.
But if I get to a financial state where I'm at a decent state, paying a couple grand may not feel like nothing. So, and plus it's like, I think it does make sense where make it less, because it's true. I've said before that we don't know what will happen, right? Who knows what will happen? Who knows if, heaven forbid, we I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm cheating or she's cheating, but who knows what will happen, right?
Something happens and just can't remain in that relationship anymore. How do you?
And you know what? I can tell you this, right? For me, how I view is like, I don't think that a marriage should break up unless there's abuse and maybe cheating. It's kind of controversial, because for me, right? If a woman cheats, that's a divorce. That's it. I'm done, right? Because she's out of it. Right? This is my double standard, right? Man cheats, right? And it depends on the cheating, right? If he just, let's say he just hired a hooker. Okay. Yeah. And not necessarily grounds for cheating. I mean, not grounds for divorce, right? Because, there's circumstances. But for a woman, it's like, it's rare because she's going to cheat emotionally as well. Her emotion is going to be in it, not just physical. So that's the thing where I'm saying that. But definitely, if there's abuse, you gotta end it. Because even with my baby mom, my love, we didn't have sex towards the end of the relationship. We haven't had sex for 2 years, but I was willing to marry her, which is stupid on me, but I still wanted to do it because, again, I had kids with her, so I didn't want a broken family. So I was ready to do it.
Okay.
She didn't want to do it. She said that she already had kids with me, so it doesn't matter anymore. So it's like, and she said she doesn't even know she loves me anymore. So it's like, I'm willing to, like, one of the things that I think men have to have sex, even intimacy. She didn't even kiss me, right? I didn't get, and yet I was still willing to marry her because I believe in those vows. I didn't want a broken family. But okay, whatever. I can't force someone to marry me. Force someone that where I'm already unhappy in the relationship and force them to be with me. That's just ridiculous. Like, I'm just forcing unhappiness on myself for no reason. So it's like, forget about it. But it's like, I think as men in general, right? Men in general, we know the values of marriage because it's a risk for us. Marriage is a high risk for us. We always knew that, right? Even if, I think deep down in men's psyche, even without the whole talk of like, losing your shit in divorce and shit like that, I believe men do not like failure. And a divorce, a failed relationship, a broken family, that is failure in a man's mind. I think that's the ultimate level of failure. Because men, I believe, in general, are put on earth to protect and provide. And if their family is gone, they have no one to protect and provide. So they just failed at one of the things that they are meant to do. Yeah. So I believe men in general know that they don't want to fail in that. So even if they're unhappy, because I know it, men that are married, even if they're unhappy, they still stick it out. Yeah. They still stick it out because they don't want that failure of divorce. While women, they don't care. They don't give a shit. Which is why 80% of divorce is filed by women. Because they don't care about having that mark of failure on them. But men are different. And this is the thing where I just think that marriage is not that serious for women. But weddings are. Weddings are what women want, not the marriage.
Okay.
So that's why it's like just what he's saying, right? Where a lot of people don't understand the responsibilities that comes with marriage, because of like the contract of marriage, right? Because there's not a whole lot of words and clause in the contract of marriage, but there's a lot deeper thing, and I think that's the thing a lot of women don't understand. Right? I saw this clip, right, where this guy was saying that he was barely having sex with his wife, but she was saying that, oh my God, we've been married for years now, but I'm so stressed out. I'm so having kids. I'm tired of I don't want to have sex all the time. And he said, okay, but women are the ones who demand marriage from men. They demand monogamy from men. So when men give you monogamy, give you faithfulness, right? Not having sex with other women, I believe one of the stipulations is you're the one person who give that sexual need to the man. And she said that she didn't realize that responsibility when asking for the monogamy, the level of commitment of marriage. She didn't realize that. And I think a lot of women don't realize that. Fine, you want this man to marry you and be monogamous to only you, to only you, to only see you. So, if that man has sexual needs, which all men do, that means you said to him that you will be the only woman that will provide him with that sexual need. You're telling him that you telling this man to be in this contract that he has to only look towards you for sexual release. This is what women don't realize.
Yeah.
You're telling you're forcing a man to only look towards you for sexual release, and then when you're in it, you will break that. You're breaking that bond of that side of the contract. Literally, women are breaking that contract because you told him to be faithful and monogamous to just you, but now they break that contract by not even honoring that, because the man honored it by giving her that monogamy, that faithfulness, right? That honor of being the only one in his life. Yeah. And that's the thing a lot of women don't understand, and they don't realize. So that's why I think that like makes me more think about the prenup, where let's say, even like, I'm not saying that we will end a divorce, but I personally, I believe a lot of marriages end in women being selfish. Because you gotta think, right? Correct. Men cheat. One of the leading causes of divorces is infidelity. But why do we only think about the ending, right? The results, but not the journey to it? Because I can guarantee you, at least half of those infidelity reasonings, those incidents, right? She didn't have sex with him for months, for maybe even years. She barely maybe gave him attention, right? So, I'm not saying that he's blameless, because he should have just divorced her, right? He should have just divorced her instead of cheating. But like I said before, men don't want the failure of a divorce. So a lot of men will say, which is ridiculous, but I understand it, that they'd rather, cheat than have the mark of failure of a divorce, of a broken family.
Mm.
That's what a lot of people don't, a lot of women, and maybe some men too, they don't understand. They don't see that part where, yes, he cheated, he did something wrong, but there's a journey to it, right? There are steps towards it. He didn't like, I married you today and then tomorrow I'm cheating on you. That doesn't really happen, right? It's not like, because I married you today, we had sex last night, and then tomorrow I'm going to cheat on you. It's like, what? Shit like that doesn't happen, right?
Not often. So first, yeah, I think cheating is definitely a reason to get divorced. I mean, even from a religious standpoint, although a mate, the non-offender does have the option of forgiving their mate. I mean, I even God made the allowance for the emotional damage that would cause. Even he was like, yeah, this is if you don't want to be in it anymore, don't be in it anymore, because it can be that bad. I like what the divorce lawyer said about being able to have that conversation. It is an awkward conversation, but if you're mature, you should be able, and the person you're with is mature, you should be able to have it. And if you can't have it with them, that might be a good reason to rethink whether you should be in a relationship with that person.
Mm-hmm.
That hit. That was pretty powerful, what he said.
Yeah.
And I come from like an old school where that's like the whole reason for dating, is to figure out who you want to marry, which means you need to be spending that time getting to know your partner really well. That could be a big part of getting to know your partner. So,
And that's the thing where I'm That's why I can't ever understand, right? Divorces, right? Or how relationships end. Because didn't you know the person inside out? Because you should. This is part of the vetting process because me and you, we talked about it. We think modern day people, right? They do not vet their partners well. They do not. They don't ask the right questions. They don't take the time to understand their partners. And that's the thing where, you know, I think that's the situation where we're having nowadays, right? And I think that's the problem with modern day relationships, where we're not taking the opportunity, the time within the dating period to ask every single question, right? See every single red flag and decide if this person is the right person for me. Because you do not get into a relationship with a person, be with them for 5 years and say that, oh, I just fell out of love. What the hell? You fell out of love with the person you spent years with?
Yeah.
That you supposedly know inside and out? That's why I'm saying, like, with the why I'm so against baby mama culture. Right? You spent years with this man. You gave this man a child. In worst cases, you gave this man multiple children. And then at the end, you said, "Oh, I just fell out of love with this man." What, bitch? Are you crazy? Right? You didn't feel this. I've seen this. I had this reaction video where I said this. You didn't fall out of love with him the first child? No, you didn't. You didn't fall out of love with him the second child? No, you didn't. You didn't fall out of love with him before you made the third child? No. After that, you fell out of love with him? Are you crazy? So you gave this guy multiple children and you never fell out of love with them? And then now you fell out of love. It's like the ridiculousness of it. Okay? It's like, oh, he cheated on me all the time. Did he not cheat on you before the first child? The second child? All these, like, it's the thing where, this is why I'm saying the dating process. Don't ignore red flags. Vet the person. Don't make certain steps unless you know the person inside and out. And now, yes, I agree that I do understand that there are cases where, certain people may, be two-faced or hide or hold some back. But I mean, like, if you've been with this person for years and you really don't know this man inside and out, who's it to blame? I would blame you. So. No.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, you could do everything right in a relationship, could still end. That crap. I mean, it happens. It happens. I don't know. It it sucks. Like you said, it's a risk.
But
It's a
you know
risk
what?
whether you have a prenup or not, because emotionally, it's a risk. It's always a risk.
True. All right.
5-6 prenups a month. Sometimes during like pre-wedding season, which is the fall and before the summer, I'll do 10, 15 a month. The people who say to me, "Oh, well, I don't want to have that conversation," I think they get the prenup and within 3-4 years they're divorced. Sometimes 5 years and then 7 years. But they're the ones who they have no business with it. Like the ones who have the discussion and figure out well, I'm worried because if you keep the place, yeah, you're right. Okay, so what if I give you this amount of money and it's this much for each year? Okay, yeah, that's cool. Let's do it that way. Those people, they'll probably never put the prenup in a safe someplace. You'll never look at it probably.
Good communication solves the problem.
Yeah, because they're able to talk to each other and they're able to talk about hard things. How are you going to be married to someone, have children with someone, and you can't talk about hard things? Like how? How are you going to navigate life and not be able to talk about hard things? Like that's silly. So if you can't talk about hard things, don't get fucking married. It's okay. You don't have to. You can stay together. But people love. I had a client. No joke, guy was in his 70s. He's married 4 times. I did 3rd and 4th divorces, and he was getting married for a 5th time. And I said to him, I was like, because I actually thought he's older. So I thought, like, does he know you don't have to marry them anymore? Like, maybe he doesn't know. Like, yeah, maybe someone didn't tell him. Like, maybe someone didn't tell him, like, you can fuck them. You don't have to marry them anymore. You can just do that.
He's dividing his assets multiple times.
Well, and it's getting smaller and smaller every time. But I said to him, I was like, why are you doing this? I was like, you don't have to get married. Like, you're clearly not great at it. He said, you know, Jim, he said, you buy a car and you drive it for 200,000 miles and eventually the engine craps out. So you go out and you buy a Ferrari or you buy some flashy sports car and you drive it for a couple months and you realize this is not the car for me. So you get rid of it. Then you get another car and, you know, you think this one's going to be the one for you, but, you know, after you drive it for like a year, you realize, yeah, this is not the car for me.
You can lease them instead of buying them.
You're going to walk everywhere for the rest of your life? Yeah, well, that was my answer. You could lease them. You could lease them. Or you could have some other alternate arrangement. I mean, here's the thing about marriage is it's a technology. So we made it up. So we can change it.
You think marriage will change in the next 20 years?
No. I actually think it's going to have, I think I think the pendulum always swings hard.
You know, weddings itself is about, I think it's over $200 billion industry.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of money in weddings. Weddings are really expensive.
And no, do you know, like, I learned this thing rather in the recent years. Divorce is also, like, I think $1 billion industry itself.
Big business. Because
governments get a percentage of your money. So the child support they get a little bit of, alimony they get a little bit of it too.
Nice.
Right. So every time your husband and your partner has to send it where it's recorded. Right. I saw this clip of this football player. He sent his baby mama millions of dollars, right? But he gave her cash, right? So the court, even without the women's law, even with the women's say so, right? She didn't do nothing. They went behind her back and said that no, you owe this woman millions of dollars. He said, I paid her. No, you have to go through the court system and pay her millions of dollars, right? Of back pay, millions of dollars of back pay. It's like, I've been sending her money. No, you have to go through the court system because they need their cut too. Right?
Yo, I would leave the country and go somewhere where they don't do extradition. That's the only way. I mean, like, no.
I thought it was like insane because he said he was faithful. He sent money, but they said no, you can't do it. You can't do it like that.
You can't go around them.
So that's what I'm saying. Is like, I'm sorry because like sometimes you want like you said, like, I don't think the court system will change too, right? I don't think it. And if it does change, it will be small incremental changes that will maybe barely affect you, right? So let's say it will probably change for it may change state-wise, right? Let's say Florida changes a law. Well, unless you get married in Florida and divorced in Florida, it's gonna mean crap to you, right? Yeah. Shit like that. So, yeah, it's insane.
Question before you play again. So you get a prenup. What are you giving up?
So like you said, right? What we're doing, like the separate accounts, right? So what I make is I'm gonna keep. What she makes, she'll keep. What we join together, right? If we joined this money for years, we'll divide it equally. So and I agree. Let's say if I bought a house within the marriage, during the marriage, we'll split it up. I will definitely be equal, right? I'm not gonna be like hard. No, I bought that house, and then no, right? Okay. I will definitely be equal because I bought that house with the intent for us both. So yeah, I'm gonna do like that. But let's say this, like my family owns a few houses, right? Well, I'm saying like, no, you're not getting any of the house. If who knows, God forbid, if I inherit anything, it will not be split up. I will have that in the clause where anything that I inherit won't be split up. Only things that I've made financially, myself, right, during this period will be, and I put into the joint account will be split up, and anything I bought, right, like a house, maybe a car, whatever, materialistic stuff like that,
right,
those things will be split up. So that's how I would go about it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
He put forth the scenario. He asked. He was like, "Well," because he sort of said a lot of what you said. But he said, if you have that discussion, and she says, "Well, hey, if we were to split up, I need some help for a couple of years."
Now that part is like, now that's I'm iffy with, right? Because I'm gonna go back to your strong independent now. Girl, I mean, because like you think about it logically, right?
Mhm.
I won't believe that I'm going to cheat. I don't believe that, right? But who knows? God forbid. Um, I don't think I'm going to cheat, and I definitely don't think I'm going to abuse her. So here I'm thinking about more than likely she's the one who's divorcing me. So I would say hell with that. If you need money to survive after that, you should have sticked with me, right? So no. So whatever we split, you want to spend that money on how you want to survive, right? So, and that's also why that okay, I've learned that like here's a maybe this is a trick for you. Do not let your wife become a stay-at-home mom completely,
Mm.
because then the courts will use that against you, right? They will say that, oh, she's never worked for years, so she's used to this lifestyle. Because that's why I said that I want a woman to work, not forcibly, right? Hell, she could go to McDonald's and make minimum wage, right? I don't give a shit, right? But I want her to have a bit of a work history. That will be part of whatever happens, right? But that money where she could save up, because I won't need her to use her money, so she could save that shit up. And why I want to control the money, right? Because I want to invest that money myself. I want to invest that money into stock accounts, but that's purely for her, right? That's what I want to do. But again, I mean, I know. I mean, I'm not saying I'm an expert at stock, but I mean, I believe hopefully by the time I'm married, right, I'm better at investing, right? So I will do it well. So let's say, you know, let's say if I'm gonna have a stock portfolio, I'm saying this is all mine. I'm gonna make yourself a stock portfolio. That'll be all yours, right? Any money, those go to you. Mine goes to mine. Everything we put in the joint account, that is what we're splitting.
Yeah.
Anything we bought, right, within the family, right, within the marriage, that will we split. But hopefully if I can put in my prenup, anything that we invest will be ours. That's just how it is, right? But again, I'm not looking at it, I'm gonna burn you, because that's why I want to control the money. Where I want to invest that money because I'm making you money, I'm making myself money, and we join it together. That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'm hoping I'm giving you. I mean, who knows? I'm not thinking we're getting married anytime soon. But I'm saying, like, you know what? The problem, the point is, right, that any woman I'm dating, I tell her shit beforehand. This is what I'm saying. Like,
But that's
even if we're not getting, we don't have a girlfriend, we're not dating anyone right now. But I think that's a problem with men right now, and I'm holding men accountable. Right? Be upfront. Let her know what she's getting into. That's the problem, right? I think that's the problem with men nowadays.
yeah.
That we don't let women know what you're getting into, right? I told women that I'm a provider protector, right? I will provide for you. If you're with me, I don't want you to worry about bills because I don't need you to. I've never had a girlfriend pay shit for me, and I've had girls live with me, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not like I literally don't need. I don't literally never have used a girlfriend for money. I don't even think a girlfriend ever bought me shit, and I don't care, right? But that's the thing where I would do that shit. I've hold doors for me. I like being a gentleman. I mean, I'm not gonna hold it back because modern day women don't deserve it. But but it's like that's where this is the point where I think men should learn what they should need to learn, and then be upfront in the beginning of the relationship. Because any woman I date, I tell you this beforehand. I'm like this. I'm that. I'm that. That. If you want to continue the relationship, you chose to continue it. Right? No, later on, like in 2 years, like, oh my god, this man is so misogynist. What? No, I've told women, The man that you see right now will be the man you see on my deathbed. There won't be any changes, right? Maybe some fluctuation, but who he is who he is. So what you do is that it's your fault. You're the one who changed. You're the one who messed with the relationship. You're the one who broke it up. It has nothing to do with me. And I can tell you this, what I also learned is that what I'm going to also do, right? With important conversations, I'm going to record that shit. I learned that shit because what I'm going to do, right? Like, let's say the prenup shit, or we'll talk about prenup. I'm going to press record. Let's talk about it. Because one thing is like, you will never say, I never said that. No, like, you did, right? I had a girlfriend, an ex, right? Said all these shit during at the beginning of the relationship, right? Oh, say all these magical shit.
Right.
Now years later, it's like, oh, she didn't do any of the shit she said. That's like, I have that recording, bitch. You said that shit. Like, no, I know I said that shit, but it was whatever. Like, then you are two-faced. That's the thing, right? So this is where we're saying, like I said, like be cautious and cover. I think we should cover our ass. I think smart men, right? Smart men should know how to cover their own ass. Do not make it out to be your fault that things ended. That's how I see it. That's how I preach it too. Where I said, like, I will put 100% myself. I'm gonna give you 100% in this relationship because at the end, I don't want to be saying that it's my fault that it ended. So that's how I see it.
All right. Let's have it.
The other direction. We have a tendency as a culture to overcorrect. It will be. I mean, from a marriage place, it's going to be great because I think people are going to get married again. People were slowing down on getting married for a while,
Sure.
And they were getting married later. They were having kids later. We're declining to have kids, and I think as a culture, we start re-solidifying into gender roles or gender tropes, depending on how we look at it. I think you're going to see marriage resurge again, but I think that it's still going to be as flawed of a technology as it ever was. And I think we have so much out there now to compare ourselves to. You used to compare yourself to the neighbors next door and what car they had in the driveway and what they were wearing when they left for church on Sunday. Now you're just looking at everyone's greatest hits while living your gag reel, and you're never looking at any of that stuff when you're having like a peak experience. You're on the toilet or you're bored and you're looking at everyone's hashtag blessed. And meanwhile, they're in my office. And I can't tell you how many, they were mixed results. I think that my parents were not as
I want to say that I probably will skip through the episode because, if you guys should watch it if you want to see every single piece of it. But again, I don't want this to go on forever, right? So any points, we'll skip and we'll talk about it. But that's why I'm kind of skipping through it or speeding through it a bit. So that's the reason.
Up in their own happiness. I think we're very caught up in our own happiness.
We're all very
Yeah, we're all very sort of, I don't want to say narcissistic, but we're very much like we are the sun around which everything evolves.
What am I not getting?
Yeah, my father was a Vietnam veteran. He got out of the Naval Academy in '66 and went to Vietnam for 3 years. So he was alive. So he was like, fuck, I'm ahead. I'm playing with the house's money. I'm alive. Everybody in their wedding party died. All the men in their wedding party died in Vietnam. There's 5 guys in the wedding party. They all died in Vietnam. My parents never lived in their wedding. Because every single man was dead. They were all helicopter pilots in Vietnam who got killed in their 20s. So they didn't really see marriage as like it was a partnership. It was like, yeah, we're going to do this thing. We're going to have kids. We're going to raise the kids. We're going to, we're going to have a house. We're going to have a car. Like, we'll be successful. The lights are on. My father was dirt poor. He came from like Appalachian part of Virginia, a small town called Shawsville. Didn't have indoor plumbing until he left for the Naval Academy. And I think he saw marriage as, yeah, it's what you do. He met my mom on Fleet Week. She was a nurse in the city. And he was, on Fleet Week and he had his uniform on and he was in a bar and he was drunk. And he went to her and he said, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen and I'm going to marry you." Because he was drunk. And she said, "Are you in the military?" He was wearing a uniform. He said, "Yep." And she said, "What country?" And he said, "Whatever country you're from." And he invited her to visit him at the Naval Academy a couple of weeks later, and she came, but he'd invited 3 other women. He just didn't know if any of them would come. So he invited all of them. So my mom got there and she saw these other women and she said, either I'm leaving or they're all leaving. And he was like, I kind of like her. So he made them all leave. And they were married 50 plus years. But, their marriage had challenges. He was an alcoholic. He's been in recovery for maybe 7-8 years since she passed. But, and he's remarried. But he remarried within a year of my mom dying. Like, he was he's of a generation of men that he needed someone to take care of him. My mom died. He didn't even know how to scramble an egg. Like, it was, after she passed, I had him come to stay with me and my sons, and I was trying to teach him, okay, Dad, here's how you make a batch of chili, and then you can eat it all week. And I was like, how's this guy gonna? Because they had this very, but that's what he met another older woman, and her husband had died. She needed someone to take care of. He needed someone to take care of him.
But that generation didn't have it as easy as we did.
That's what I'm saying. They were just meeting your basic needs, right?
They were grateful to be alive.
They were grateful to be alive because they'd either been through war.
We're not grateful.
Day. How many women do I interact with in a day, visually, or personally in some fashion, or in a curated, mediated way? And again, those are curated women, by the way. So they're photoshopped, they're airbrushed, they've got filters on them. So again, how does marriage survive in that setting? It had a hard enough time surviving without all of that. I mean, forget kids.
The divorce rate keeps increasing, right?
Yeah, it keeps going up. It's been hanging around 53 to 56% for a while. We had a bump after COVID.
What are other countries like?
Countries that have a significant religious narrative have the lowest divorce rates. So the lowest divorce rates are in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, but they don't have a whole lot of choice.
Right, you're not allowed to divorce. You just have your wife killed. So that's so the countries where there is this very strict religious prohibition against marriage or against divorce.
I mean, the United States is probably the highest divorce rate.
We're among the highest. Yeah. I don't think we're we might be the highest now. For a while, Germany had
America
a very high
#1
divorce rate. France had a pretty high divorce rate. What's interesting is the divorce rate and the marriage satisfaction rates. Those are different. Because most people, the goal is not, can we stay married? The goal is, can we stay happily married? So somebody said to me, yeah, I've been married 25 years. And I've been fucking miserable for 15 of them. I'm not going to envy you. Great job. You really hung in there in that awful situation. That's not impressive to me. I have a cousin who got married, and I was chatting with her. She's a younger woman. And her husband just joined the police force. And I said to him, I was trying to make small talk. And I said, so do you like it? And he's from a family of cops. And he said, nah, not really. But, I'm going to do the 20 years and then you get your pension. I thought, yeah, I'll just do my 20. That's 20 years. You're 25 years old. That's 25 to 45. Those are fucking incredible years. You'll never get those back. And your approach to life is, I don't like it, but I'll just kind of do it, I want to tiptoe through life and arrive safely at death. That seems, but I get that that's what if that's what marriage is, if it's an endurance event, where, no, you've got to stay married, why? That's why I think religions have been very quick to, I always tell people I'm not religious. I was raised very Catholic. But the reality is that there's, if in fact God talked to humanity with 10 commandments, I think it's hilarious that the only thing he has to say twice is don't fuck people you're not married to. Thou shalt not kill, once, right? Honor the Sabbath, once. Don't covet your neighbor's wife, don't commit adultery. It's the only thing. It's the only thing that got 2 commandments. So basically, don't kill, honor the Sabbath, don't fuck people you're not married to. Seriously, don't fuck people you're not married to. There's no, it didn't, thou shalt not steal, one. It's the only one that got double billing.
Religion's a big component.
Yeah, let's because you're the religious one. What's your take on it? Well, this popped up a question to my mind, right?
Mhm.
Again, you're not in it, but I mean, you've seen it all your life, right? Do you believe what he was just saying, right? Do you believe both your mom and your dad have been happy, at least majority of the time, throughout their marriage with each other?
I think so.
Or do I mean, yeah, or I mean, or do you think that they're religious, so they just whatever?
It's just like we did this
I'll
already. This is what
yeah,
we're.
I'll struggle through it, right? I don't if I'm unhappy, hell with it. I'll still stick through it.
So
Which
I
one?
think my parents are happy together. I think they love each other.
Okay.
I think there's evidence of that because I'm the oldest child, but I wasn't their first attempt at a child. My mom had multiple miscarriages,
Wow.
and it was years before they had me. They were in their mid-30s.
Really?
They had me,
Okay.
yeah, even though they were married in their 20s. And then they had 3 more.
Yeah.
And my youngest brother is 10 years younger than me. So they've at least been intimate for that long. You know. Also, they're still together.
Mhm.
No relationship's perfect. Now, that's the other thing. Being happy with someone does not mean it's sunflowers and roses all the time. Right. You can even with your best friend, I'm sure you can think of times when it was like, I want to wring his neck right now. You know what I mean? So I mean that's any relationship. And I wonder if people say they fall out of love or we don't get along anymore after, going through a tough time. Toughing out through a tough time is not the same as being miserable in a marriage. It just with your family, you don't break up with family, right? They're your family. I mean, there are extreme circumstances where you write somebody off, but otherwise, you'd be like, yeah, they get on my nerves sometimes, but I love them. That's my family. So I think my parents love each other, and I think they've been happy together. And they've had some tough times. I've been there for it because I've lived with them. But yeah, I think they're happy. I just think that working, and we talked about this before, working at a marriage is really important. Like that's like working at any relationship is. So yeah. Now, as far as they are religious, so it doesn't mean that they don't believe in divorce at all. But it would have took one of them cheating,
Okay.
Our maybe abuse. None of that happened. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he does. It's funny what he said about the 10 Commandments, and 2 of them being about about marriage.
Why is that? Why is that?
So the Mosaic Law was not just 10 Commandments; it was hundreds.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a huge law, but those 10 represent maybe like if you had to sum it all up and just hit like the bullet points, the most important ones.
Okay, those
It was the 10 that were on those tablets.
Okay.
Do not commit adultery. Do not covet your neighbor's wife.
It's not the same thing.
No,
Really?
close, but they're not the same thing. So to covet something is to want it.
Oh,
Not before you take it, right?
Okay, the other one is to take it.
Right.
Oh.
I'm trying to remember it. Christ talked about this later, and this was years after the Mosaic Law, and they were on the way to getting rid of it. But he said, if you covet something in your heart, you've already committed adultery. That's how you get there, right?
Yeah.
Lead up to if I have a wife or a girlfriend, or if I've committed to, and I see someone who I think is prettier, I can notice it, okay, and maybe she's prettier, but this is my wife, and I'm gonna stick to her. Or I can keep looking. I'm like, but she is really pretty now. I love the way she walks. I love the way she wears those heels, and that snowballs into with her. Right.
Okay,
You let that happen.
I got it. Okay.
So that's the difference. But it was still a funny point you made.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, I understand that.
both are really important. Like, marriage can't function if you're violating either of those two. So.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
Which is none, because I'm not a monster. Like I rape as many people as I want to. None, because I don't want to. I wouldn't want to do that to another person.
I think society would be probably happier without marriage.
Well, I think we would have a lot less of the damage that comes, right? I think we'd have to find new narratives to structure, to define relationships, right? I mean, I do think there is a part of us that wants to say, because I as a grown man who's divorced, when you're 20 and you say, oh, that's my girlfriend, nobody thinks anything of it. When you're 50 and you say, oh, that's my girlfriend, people go, oh, there's a story there. Like, because you're either divorced or commitment phobic, or why do you have a girlfriend when you're 50? Why isn't that your wife? So they know there's a story there. So we'd have to, and I get it, because if someone says, oh, that's my boyfriend, say that. Like, how many adults still need to say, oh, my friend Todd and I, and my best friend Tom and I, like, okay, like, so they extra special friend? Like, what do they, do they get health insurance with that? Like, what is the deal with that? So I think that's kind of what marriage has become, is it's like, well, the person I love. No, but like the person I love. Like, there's a lot of people I love. I wouldn't want to be married to any of them. But there's a lot of people I love. Very little overlap in those skill sets. Maybe good listening skills would be helpful in both, or patience would be good in both. But that's true of almost anything. It's a doctor and a lawyer. Both be good if you have good listening skills. It doesn't mean they're the same profession. So
is divorce harder on women or men?
That's a great question. I think it's equally hard on both, but I think that the world is more sympathetic to women when they get divorced. I think when a woman gets cheated on, the man's a piece of shit. And when a woman cheats on a man, she must have been forced into the arms of this other man, or she had to explore herself, or she was being neglected in some fashion. So if a man cheats, he's a piece of garbage. And if a man's wife cheats, he mustn't have been meeting her needs. And she had every right in the world. Like, so the world is very unsympathetic to men when they get divorced.
That's been throughout hers.
Yeah, that's been there was a maternal presumption, a legal presumption, what was called the tender years doctrine, which was that if a child was under the age of 7, they were automatically presumed that they would be in the custody of the mother. And men get really beat up still in court. I mean, the law theoretically is gender blind right now, but
theoretically,
I don't actually see that, because the law is people. The law is judges, and judges are human, and they have all the same biases. And it's just not a moment right now where men are particularly sympathetic characters. I think that, even young men. I mean, if at a school dance they sing Beyonce's "Girls Who Runs the World," like if there was a song called "Men Who Runs the World," men, and it was a positive thing, like you get pilloried for that. So I think that men have a very hard time right now in divorce. They see their children less. They get hit harder financially. They are the bad guy no matter what. If they cheat, they're the bad guy. If they get cheated on, they were the bad guy because they probably neglected her. There's a presumption that the man is to blame a lot of the time. Now, again, marriage equality has been a thing for a while. So there are tons of gay couples. So you have 2 men, 2 women divorcing each other.
Before he goes through this, like what he just said is why I made this channel. It is why I started voicing my opinion. I truly believe that men, average men in general, are the underdogs. They are the bottom of the totem pole. They are what you shit on and scrape off of, right? Men is what's, it's not women that are suffering. It's not the LGBT whatever that's suffering. It is average men that are suffering. Okay? You think about this, right? They say, oh, men are the rich ones, right? Men have the power. No. Top percent of men, CEOs, right? Small percent of men are CEOs, are top rich men. Those are not average men. But now the average men are the top, like homeless men, right? They have the highest percent of homelessness. And those are average men. Those are the average men, right? And those range in the millions. That's the thing where men are suffering. Even in situations like this, right? Yeah, I've had debates, arguments. The people are saying, "Oh no, the court systems they're unbiased. They were not like they will give men a fair share." You're wrong, because the key thing he said, right, is that it's not about the system, it's not about the law, it's about the person who's enforcing that law, right? We say this, right? Cops, the cop system, right? Cops are not bad, right? It's the cop themselves, because it's the people who wear that badge, right? Because the cop system they're there to protect you. But the problem is, it's the individuals that get that power that enforces that law, right? Enforces supposed law. So if you get a racist person, doesn't mean that the system is racist. It's just that person who's enforcing that system, who enforcing that has that power, is racist, and he's enacting it, right? So this is the problem where people are just terrible, right? People can be, as good as, a saint, but they can be as terrible as the devil. This is how it is. That's why there's bad people, good people. There's a spectrum in between. We forget. We ignore the supposedly unbiased system, yet the problem is that it's not robots are not doing it, right? Robots are not enforcing our system. Robots are not enforcing our laws. It is people. And people are flawed. They are terribly flawed. So with that flaw, they have racism, they have biases, they have preconceptions, they think how they want to think. Okay? And that's the thing we ignore, we forget. So, like he said, yes, although the system wants to be equal, but the system, the judge who is putting out the sentence, he's biased. He's like, oh, mothers are naturally, what is it? They're the natural providers. They're the natural caretakers, natural nurturers. So the child should be with the mother 100% of the time, or she should have the power of how that child win, or how that child interacts or see their father. I always said the court system automatically should say it's 50-50. And then you read the case, you judge and all this shit. If I need to put more towards the mother or put more towards the father. No, it's not automatically 50-50. It's automatically what the judge views. Okay? So I'm like, what am I'm hoping sometimes, like, it's funny, right? There's times, like, let's say this, right? I don't know if you've done it, right? But like, we do a driving test. A lot of times, it's like sometimes we hope we have a test driver that's lenient, right? That will, he ignored that, he ignored that, he ignored this. He don't care about that. He doesn't care about this. Yeah. That's the flip of the coin, right? It's like you play the odds. I just so happened, last week I did the exact same thing, and I failed. This week I did the exact same thing, but I passed. But because I had a different person who didn't care about this or who didn't view this, things change. This is the problem with human beings, right? And we ignore it. We think that we know, the court system wouldn't do this, or the laws wouldn't do this. But that's the problem. That's the issue we're facing, is that you don't see the person that is enforcing those laws, that is enforcing that judgment, that's passing down that judgment, it's human beings. And, we are suffering because of that shit, right? In the sense that men are suffering because of shit like that, where I believe it, men are viewed as dirt. Like he was saying, men are viewed as victims, men are viewed as villains, or if they're not straight out victims, they said they must have been victims, right? How many? I don't know about you, right? If you're on social media, how many times you see? I've seen, right, where women said that, like, oh, I'm scared of all men, right? Even though I don't believe all men are predators, but because there's some, but I just believe men that are naturally violent. Then I'm saying all men. So it's just we stigmatize men, right? Men are always bad. Men is like how many times you hear like all men are terrible. It's like so many things, right? How society views men. That's why I say the shit I say. Yeah, I may sound misogynistic, but I don't give a shit because we are shitting on men needlessly, right? Like we're saying, like the criminal system, right? How the majority of men in the criminal system, right? Majority of who's in jail are men, but that doesn't mean that's the majority of men, because the men that are in the criminal system are small percentage of men. They're very small. So let's say rapists, all that shit, right? Although, let's say hypothetically all rapists are men. Well, if one rapist is a man and there's hundreds and thousands of men, that doesn't mean, all those 100,000 of men are rapists. No, it just so happens that the one rapist in history is a man. That doesn't mean that like you should blame all men, right? So that's the issue that we're having, that because they have an agenda, right? To label all men this, like all men are terrible, all this shit is like, that's why I'm against all the leftist shit, because they view the small percent of people as everything, right? They put it all. It's a blanket statement, right? It's not just a blanket statement, like say a generality, but it's the worst kind, right? You use the worst kind of things, right? You like I said, men are rapists, men are terrible, men are violent. That you use the most terrible narratives to signify men, and those are the things that are disgusting. I don't know.
Preach, brother. Go ahead, get
Yeah.
off. Yes.
I mean, as I said, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I don't know. All right, let's continue.
I hear you.
Well, do you have any?
I mean, I want to let what you said stand. I do think this is unfortunate, but it's just life.
No.
It's endlessly complicated.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. One bad person does not represent all men. It doesn't represent me, right? But then we would have to apply that same logic to everyone, which is hard to do. If one woman does something, it doesn't necessarily represent all women. One person of color does something, it don't necessarily represent all people of color. And that's how it should be. But then if your experience is you ran into that one bad person twice, or you ran into two bad people, if you run into two bad people and they're the same, you're probably not going to get a third person a shot.
No, yeah, that's
right. and so that's how these sort of narratives and stereotypes.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and what would suck is if you gave the third person a shot and you were wrong and it happened again. I'm like, well, you fool, it happened the first 2 times. You should have known that this whole group of people were bad. Now it's solidified, right? I guess that happens enough that now we hold tight to these narratives that aren't true or fair. I don't know how you ever.
You bring up an amazing point, right? I think let's go back with this. Like, where remember back in a while you said with Kevin Samuels shit, right? Kevin Samuels, professional fit, and probably like some people will say like how I'm misogynist and stuff like that. I can tell you this: I do not hate women. I do not, because hell, I love women. Like, I would love to have sex with women, right? I love to be with a woman. Things I say don't mean that I hate women. It means that, you know what, like I always say that you're correct that I don't view, it's never a blanket statement. I don't say that, oh, all women are cheaters, all women are terrible. No, I don't. I may label it on my my videos that, but that again, take it with a grain of salt. That's entertainment, right? I'm trying to, get views. That's just how it is. But personally, and I promise you, the things I say, I don't mean all, right? And I mean it in a way that, you know what, we have to think about. I'm talking about the bad apples. That's just how it is. I'm not talking about, there's good women out there. I know there's bad women out there. There is, there's maybe a shade of in between. There is. But when I say something like, let's say a woman divorced a man, took all his money, took his children. Well, there are a lot of women that do that. I don't say that there's all, and then it doesn't mean that I would never. That doesn't mean that I would never get married with a woman. No, that doesn't make, that statement doesn't necessarily make me think, oh man, all women, if I go with them, they're gonna drain me for all my money and shit like that. I don't think like that. But what I want to do, right, with shit like this, and how I want to portray is that know that there are women like that. Know that there are racist police officers. Know that there are terrible judges. Know that there are terrible women. Know that there are terrible men, right? Know it. Don't be blind to it. Be cautious to it. Be aware and assess it. Be cautious. Do some due diligence. Just be wise to the situation, right? Understand that, okay, hypothetically, I know there's racist cop out there. I'm going to do shit that I don't want to get into any altercation with a cop. And which I haven't, right? Maybe I've gotten a speed ticket, but like I say, officer here, no, whatever. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not going to argue with you. Give me a ticket. I'm good. I'm not going to say anything more, right? It's just things like, and again, I know it's different situations, but I'm just saying, like, it's a way where, you know what? I may not like, and again, I can tell you this, I do not like the cop system. I don't. I think it's basically a game, right? It's a game that has power. I don't really, because to be honest with you, and I may think about it differently too, where I don't think cops are racist. I think they're corrupt with power. That's in my view. In general, there may be some racist, right? But I think here my more point of view is that I think cops they're corrupt with power. They're ordinary people that have power over other people. So I'm 100% believer in power corrupts absolutely. So if you have power over people, well, you're going to exert it on disadvantaged people. I've seen cops kill white people. I've seen cops kill black people. I've seen cops kill whoever they feel like killing, right? It's just that they have power over it. And that's why I just think that they're just a corrupt, people. That's why I personally think that power should be taken away from them, at least a certain power, right? You should have certain cops that do, it's just whatever. I'm probably not doing it, but it's like, that's my view about that. And I just think that we have to understand things, right? Use the knowledge we gain, right? Let's say if I watch videos of women, how terrible women are, well, I should know that, you know what? I'm gonna be cautious on how I interact with women, because I know that, okay, there are some women that just think this wants just use you for money, or use you for dates, right? Well, I'm gonna be cautious about it, right? I'm gonna hold true to my principle. I'm gonna go on a date with you. I'm gonna take you to dinner, but it's not gonna be an expensive dinner. I'm not taking you to like somewhere in like Center City where I'm spending like hundreds of dollars on you, right? I'm not gonna do that. You definitely don't gonna deserve that on the first date, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm saying that it's not that I'm hating women; it's that I'm arming men with knowledge that they should learn, process, and implement boundaries and standards into their own life. That's what I'm doing, right? All right, let's try to finish it.
And that hasn't really shook out too much yet in terms of how that plays out. I don't know if it's that gay and lesbian couples are better at it than heterosexual couples, or if it's still they're in the honeymoon period because marriage equality hasn't been around that long. But I think men find a less sympathetic world. But in fairness, divorced men have it a little easier, I think. Divorced men meet a young woman and the woman's like, instant family, just add me. That's great. If he's got kids, it's like, oh, he's got kids. Look at how nurturing he is and how lovely. And women, they get divorced. They've got kids. And guys are like, whoop, it's got baggage. I'm not going near that. So I think that men and women have different problems post-divorce. And the world could be better to both of them. I think that I have some women who
Here's my controversial take. I don't think they should. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think it should be equal in that part. Because you gotta think about it. Again, it's a stat. Women, they initiate divorces. So to say that, okay, a woman should make out well after divorce is ridiculous. Right? She should be able to get into another race. No, because I hate that where men and women, they value different things, right? Men value youth, beauty, maybe loyalty, femininity, chastity. They view shit different, right? Women view it differently too. They want providing, protecting, masculinity, leadership, what looks, height, shit like that. They just value things differently. So a woman that's divorced, well, that shows two men that you're not really that loyal. How's that? That isn't necessarily a proof of loyalty that you divorced your husband, right? And now you came out of this with children. What there's very few men in life that wants to, be with women with kids of other men. Very few men that cares about that. While women, they in general don't mind because they're natural. It's just the difference of the sexes. So it's just how you think. That's the thing where that's the problem where I think. See, that's why I would be more understanding if it was majority of men divorcing, right? Where then I'm more sympathetic to the women because then I know that it's men who's just leaving marriages left and right. But that's the thing with women where you should be so certain, right? So certain that okay, this man is the worst. He's the scum of the earth. That's why I'm divorcing him. Or no, it's like oh, I'm just bored of him, or I don't love him anymore. Oh, he doesn't do it for me in bed, or shit like that. Or I want a younger man. I want a man that makes more money. The most terrible service level shit. Then you think you're gonna get that after you leave your husband? Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. What do you think of that?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Uh, I mean, if you suffer the consequences of your actions, right? So I agree with you there. You got to deal with what the bed you make. Sometimes the guy makes the bed, right? Sometimes he cheats, and Sometimes the woman makes a bad decision. Uh, I don't really know how to call it.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna, as far as like educating people on, as far as like we were talking about, letting men and people know that your choices matter. It's good to know what could happen after a divorce,
Mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
For a guy, like you said, you lose half of everything you own. Um, for a woman, you could give up on your mate and never find anyone again who will make you happy.
Yes,
So
that's true. We gotta both know the outcomes of a
yeah,
marriage. Yeah,
yeah. So just like we talk about before you get in a marriage, weigh the costs. Before you get out of one, do that too.
yeah. True,
Because
true that.
even if the situation is uncomfortable, uh, well, are you really going to be more comfortable after you go through the divorce and you can't find someone, or after you go through the divorce and you've lost half of everything you own? Is this worth that? Or is there a way to work through what you're going through now to get to a better time? I mean, you just got to really think hard about it. That's all.
No, I agree. Now, I know you're tired. We're old, right? We're old
We
men.
are old.
We're not like we're not staying up and partying. So I think this is a good part to end. I mean, like again, you guys should see the video, right? If you guys want to check it out. I mean, this is only our reaction to it. We don't need to react to the whole video, but because I doubt people watch towards the end anyway. Um, Now, but I want to do this, right? I want you to give your whole analysis, your thoughts. Like, have it changed? What's your thoughts on divorces, marriages, all that shit, right? Because I'll let you the end statement, right? Just your analysis. If you still stick that you may not still have a prenup or things like that. Like, just give your whole end synopsis. What how you view it now, right? Because I think this man has said a lot of good things. He's actually surprisingly changed a lot of my views, right? In the sense that I think I'm going to add certain things into my own repertoire. Like, I'm going to talk about. I'm learning how to talk about prenups too, and I'm definitely going to talk about like how do you argue in relationships, right? I think I'm going to keep that one. But yeah, I mean, he's enlightened me with a lot of little things. So I'm very this is a great video of his. Right, I think this has gotten like over 1 million views. So
Really? Okay.
it's amazing. So yeah, like I said, I'm gonna let you end it. You give me your thoughts and views, and then we'll be good because I know my bro, he's tired.
That is
So.
silly because yes, I am older.
All right.
I thought he dropped a lot of like really good gems, and I'm a bit surprised for more than one reason. But I will say, I thought it was going to be really negative early on because he's a divorce attorney, right? And we had that discussion. I think the
Yeah.
last episode. He's seeing the worst. He's seeing the people at their worst. So, and there might have still been a little bit of that, but he dropped some nice gems on how to like maintain a relationship. That's a
I
lot
mean,
of
technically, he's also he said he's not going to marry ever again.
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's a part of negative where he doesn't believe in marriage.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah,
a
and I
negative part.
understand it because one, he's not very religious. So like there's things I still don't see eye to eye with him on. For instance, he said like we invented marriage. I think God did it, uh, and that it's a legal technology. I think it's more than that, but that's because we come from two different backgrounds, right? But when he talked about he was talking about prenups, but when he talked about being able to have a hard discussion with the person you're planning to spend your life with, that's major. That hit really hard because it's important to be able to do that. Like if you
Mhm.
can't do that with the person you want to spend your life with, you probably shouldn't spend your life with them because you're gonna go through hard times, right? He talked about how little things can lead to bigger things that ultimately lead to a divorce. And when he gets them and we're divorcing because so and so cheated or so and so did this or that, and you're like, well, you can track it back to something small that one or both partners stopped doing, right? So that hit at home. As far as prenups, I see them in a different light now. I mean, I never thought they were like evil. I just didn't know if I was going to deal with one. And I still think we talked about this a little bit. Like if I'm really successful in the future and decide to get married, I might feel it's necessary. I don't know if I would if tomorrow I'm gonna get married.
No, I agree with you that, right? Like,
Yeah,
truthfully,
yeah.
I'm the same way. I'm exactly the same way. Let's say, like, yeah, in a couple of months, if I get married, then okay. Why I get a prenup? I have nothing. What is she gonna take me? Like
right, yeah,
geek collection?
right. I got two TVs. You can have one, I guess. Like, but I do like but I may decide to have the discussion no matter what, because you should be able to have a tough discussion with your partner, and because it is a good idea to think about. He said you're not planning or envisioning yourself splitting apart, but emergencies and unexpected things happen, terrible things happen. And the way he put it, he said, if you're signing, this is the most important legal thing you'll do in your life. You should and people aren't educated enough about what can happen if it goes wrong. You should plan for that. And he also said, I like the way he said it, if I come to you, if this thing were not to work out, what would I owe you? I like the way he put that, because that changes the dynamic of the conversation. You know what I mean? It's not like, listen, I'm trying to protect mine before we get married. And that makes an awkward conversation a little worse. But I like the way he approaches. Like, listen, we want this to work out, but in the event it doesn't, how can we fairly separate if it comes to that? And that's,
like I agree. I think I 100% agree. I wasn't thinking about that, and you're right. It has made me, like I said, it has made me think about how to talk about prenups more.
Yeah.
You know, what's a better way to talk about prenups? Because, like I said, I'm not gonna be vindictive, right? We did in union. If it again, I won't be vindictive if I wasn't cheated on, right?
Yeah.
But if we ended it, like, let's say, okay, we both just say, which is weird, but we both feel like we don't love each other anymore. Okay, then, okay, let's decide how we should end it. I do, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of value in listening to what he had to say, his perspective. So I enjoyed that.
I did. I really did. I think it was a good. I mean, every time I talk to you, I enjoy it. So, it's fun. But definitely this video was pretty amazing. I think he gave some amazing insight, and I do think every average man that wants to have a relationship with the women should definitely watch this man. I really think that this is a great interview, right? And I think it will enlighten any man. So I'm definitely all for go and check it out if you want, without our commentary. So yeah, it was fun. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been awesome. I hope you guys subscribe. I hope you guys like. I hope you guys comment. But you guys do what you guys do. But that's it. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care.